First Contact's consequence. The stellar research vessel Prometheus hung in the void like a silver needle against the backdrop of endless stars. Commander Alex Foster stood at the observation deck, their dark eyes fixed on the massive structure floating before them. The ancient space station stretched for kilometers, its surface etched with geometric patterns that seemed to pulse with an inner light. "Any response to our hails?" Alex asked, not turning away from the view. Their reflection in the reinforced glass showed the same steady expression they'd maintained since discovering the station 3 days ago. 12 years of deep space exploration had taught them patience, but this discovery made their heart race like a rookie's first spacewalk. "Nothing on any known frequency, Commander," Lieutenant Sarah Chen reported from her communication station. "But we're still picking up that strange energy signature. Dr. Rodriguez says it's unlike anything in our database." Alex nodded, running a hand through their close-cropped black hair. The station's discovery had sent waves of excitement through the scientific community back on Earth. First Contact had always been humanity's dream, but finding an apparently abandoned alien structure raised more questions than answers. Status of the approach team. EVA suits checked and double-checked, Commander. We're ready when you give the word. Alex finally turned from the window, surveying their bridge crew. Each face showed a mixture of anticipation and professional focus. They had trained for this, but training could never fully prepare anyone for humanity's first steps into an alien structure. "Let's make history then. Chen, you have the bridge. Rodriguez, Matthews, you're with me." The airlock cycle seemed to take forever. Alex stood between Dr. Elena Rodriguez, their chief xenorchaeologist, and security chief James Matthews. Their magnetic boots clicked against the metal floor as final checks were completed. "Remember," Alex said through the suit comm, "we're here to observe and document. No unnecessary risks. If anything feels off, we retreat immediately." The outer door opened to the void, and their suit thrusters carried them toward the station. Up close, the geometric patterns were even more intricate, forming what looked like circuit boards made by artists rather than engineers. Their helmet lights played across the ancient surface, revealing no signs of damage or decay. "Look at this craftsmanship," Elena breathed, her voice filled with wonder. "The material composition doesn't match anything we know. And these patterns, they're not just decorative. They're functional somehow." They found what appeared to be an entrance, a hexagonal opening that responded to their presence by slowly dilating open. The team shared a look before Alex made the call. "We proceed. Matthews, take point." The interior was even more remarkable than the exterior. The corridors seemed to sense their presence, lighting up with a soft blue glow as they advanced. Their boots now clicked against floors made of something that looked like marble, but registered as metal on their scanners. "The air composition is breathable," Elena reported, checking her instruments. "Temperature stable at 20 degrees Celsius. It's almost as if it was waiting for us," Alex finished. They had the same unsettling thought. They had covered about 100 meters when everything changed. The blue glow suddenly intensified, and the geometric patterns on the walls began to pulse with increasing frequency. Before anyone could react, a beam of light shot from the ceiling, scanning each of them head to toe. "Genetic analysis complete," a voice announced in perfect English, though no speaker was visible. "Human species identified. Initiating first contact protocol." The floor beneath them transformed into a platform that began to descend. Matthews raised his weapon, but Alex signaled him to hold. They were committed now. The platform deposited them in a vast chamber that defied physics. The ceiling stretched up into darkness, while the walls seemed to extend infinitely in all directions, and they were no longer alone. Figures emerged from what had appeared to be solid walls, tall, elegant beings with iridescent skin and eyes that held galaxies. Their movements were liquid grace, and they wore what appeared to be living clothing that shifted and changed with each step. One of them stepped forward, its form settling into something more humanoid, perhaps in an attempt to appear less alien. When it spoke, its voice resonated not just in their ears but in their minds. "We are the Nixians. We have watched your species for many cycles, waiting for you to find us. You stand in the nexus of trials, where all spacefaring races must prove their worth to join the galactic confluence." Alex took a careful step forward, removing their helmet in a show of trust. "I am Commander Alex Foster of Earth. We come seeking knowledge and peaceful contact." The Nixian's expression shifted in a way that might have been a smile. "Peace is earned, Commander. Your species has shown promise, but potential must be tested. Will you accept the trials on behalf of humanity?" Alex felt the weight of history on their shoulders. This was what humanity had dreamed of: contact with advanced alien life. But something in the Nixian's tone suggested these trials would be more than simple tests of technology or intelligence. "What do these trials entail?" "7 challenges that will test mind, body, and what you call spirit. Success will grant humanity membership in the confluence and access to knowledge beyond your imagining. Failure." The Nixian paused, its form shimming slightly. "Failure will result in the quarantine of your species until another cycle passes." Alex thought of Earth, of humanity's dreams of reaching the stars, of all the sacrifices made to get them to this point. They squared their shoulders and met the alien's cosmic gaze. "I accept." The chamber transformed around them, the infinite space condensing into a more defined room. The other Nixians moved forward, forming a circle around Alex and their team. "The first trial begins now," the lead Nixian announced. "You will face the echo chamber of truth. Your mind will be open to realities your species has not yet dreamed of." Many break under the weight of such knowledge. Before Alex could respond, the floor beneath them became transparent, revealing what appeared to be a spiral galaxy spinning beneath their feet. The sensation of standing on nothing while watching the cosmic dance below was dizzying. "Commander," Matthews warned, his weapon half raised. "Stand down," Alex ordered. "We knew first contact would challenge our understanding. We're ready." The lead Nixian raised its hands, and the galaxy beneath their feet began to rise like water filling a glass. Alex felt their consciousness expanding, touching minds and realities that existed beyond normal spacetime. They saw Earth as the Nixians saw it, a bright point of potential in a universe teeming with life. They saw humanity's possible futures branching out like a cosmic tree, each decision creating new realities. The weight of this knowledge threatened to overwhelm them, but Alex held on to their sense of self through sheer determination. "Interesting," the Nixian observed. "Most species retreat into madness when faced with the true nature of reality. You instead seek to understand it." Alex struggled to form words as their mind continued to expand. "Understanding is what makes us human. We never stop trying to learn." The galaxy receded, and Alex found themselves on solid ground again, gasping for breath. Elena and Matthews moved to support them, but they waved them off, standing straight despite the lingering vertigo. The lead Nixian's form shifted through several colors before settling on a deep purple. "The first trial is complete. You have shown that humanity can face the unknown without losing itself. But this is only the beginning." As if on cue, the chamber began to transform again, this time into what appeared to be a massive arena. The other Nixians took positions in floating observation platforms that materialized around the space. "The second trial will test more than your mind, Commander Foster. Are you prepared to continue?" Alex looked at their team, seeing the same determination in their eyes that they felt. Whatever these trials had in store, humanity would face them head-on. "We're ready." The lead Nixian's form brightened. "Then let the trial of physical transcendence begin. And Commander, try not to die. It would be unfortunate to have to start over with a new representative." As the arena came fully into focus, Alex realized that humanity's first contact was going to be far more challenging than anyone could have imagined. But they had never backed down from a challenge before, and they weren't about to start now. The fate of Earth and humanity's place among the stars rested on what happened next. Alex Foster squared their shoulders and prepared to face whatever the Nixians had in store, knowing that each trial would bring them one step closer to proving humanity's worth to the galaxy. Trial of mind and steel. The arena pulsed with energy that made Alex's skin tingle. The space around them had transformed into what appeared to be a vast crystalline chamber, its faceted walls reflecting and refracting light in impossible patterns. Dr. Rodriguez's instruments had gone haywire, while Matthews kept his hand near his weapon, though they all knew it would likely be useless here. The trial of physical transcendence, the lead Nixian announced, its form now hovering several meters above the arena floor, will test your species' ability to adapt. Your bodies are limited by your understanding of physical laws. Here, you must break those limits. Alex felt a sudden shift in the air's density. Their body became lighter, then heavier, as if gravity itself was playing with them. What exactly are we supposed to do? Survive, the Nixian replied simply. And learn. The chamber erupted into chaos. The crystalline walls began emitting pulses of energy that bent space itself. Alex watched in horror as Matthews was stretched like rubber, his body elongating before snapping back to normal. Delina screamed as her hand passed through her own torso, temporarily existing in two places at once. Focus, Alex shouted, fighting against their own body's rebellion against physics. They said we need to adapt. Don't fight it. Try to understand it. The Nixians watched from their platforms, their forms shifting through colors that hurt to look at. Alex realized they were communicating, discussing the human's performance like scientists observing an experiment. Alex closed their eyes, remembering the cosmic awareness they'd touched in the first trial. If physical laws were mutable here, then perhaps they concentrated on the sensation of their body, imagining it not as solid matter, but as a collection of energy and probability. Commander, Delina's voice had a strange echo. Look at your hands. Alex opened their eyes to see their fingers passing through each other like smoke, yet they could still feel them as solid when they wished. Understanding bloomed in their mind. This wasn't about breaking physical laws, but about understanding that those laws were more flexible than humanity had imagined. It's like quantum mechanics on a macro scale, they said, experimenting with making their arm exist in multiple positions simultaneously. The observer effect. We're both the observer and the observed. Matthews caught on quickly, his military training helping him adapt to the impossible situation. Soon he was using the chamber's strange physics to his advantage, letting energy pulses pass through him harmlessly. The lead Nixian's form brightened. You begin to understand. But understanding is only the first step. Now, defend yourselves. The chamber spawned creatures that defied description, beings made of pure geometry and probability. They attacked not with physical weapons, but with waves of reality-altering force. Alex instinctively tried to dodge, but realized that conventional movement was pointless here. Instead, they focused on existing in multiple states at once, becoming harder to hit. Matthews had already figured out how to turn his body partially out of phase, letting attacks pass through him. Delina, however, was struggling. A geometric creature cornered her, its angles impossible and threatening. Without thinking, Alex reached out, not with their hand, but with their consciousness, and pulled her through space to safety. How did you do that? She gasped. I stopped thinking about space as distance. Alex explained, maintaining their focus as another wave of creatures approached. It's more like intention. Where you want to be is where you are, if you believe it strongly enough. The battle continued, but it was more like a dance with reality itself. The humans learned to bend not just their bodies, but the space around them. When a creature would attack, they would shift through higher dimensions to avoid it. When they needed to protect each other, they would create bubbles of altered physics where the normal rules still applied. Hours passed, or perhaps minutes. Time seemed as mutable as everything else in the chamber. Finally, the geometric creatures dissolved, and the chamber stabilized somewhat. The lead Nixian descended to their level. Impressive. Most species take multiple attempts to survive this trial, let alone master it. You not only adapted but began to understand the deeper principles at work. These principles, Alex said, allowing their body to fully solidify again. They're not just for this chamber, are they? This is how your species naturally exists. Perceptive, the Nixian's form rippled with what might have been approval. We have evolved beyond the constraints of fixed physical laws. We exist in many states simultaneously, limited only by our will and understanding. And this trial, Alina added, her scientific mind racing with implications. It's not just about testing us. You're teaching us, preparing us. For what? Matthews asked, still keeping his guard up despite the apparent end of the trial. The lead Nixian's form shifted to a deep, resonant blue. For what comes next? The galaxy is not the orderly place your species imagines. There are threats that exist outside conventional physics, beings that operate on principles your science cannot yet explain. If humanity is to join the confluence, you must be prepared to face them. Alex felt a chill despite the chamber's regulated temperature. These threats, is that why you built this station? Why you test species before allowing contact? Partially, the Nixian admitted. But there is more. Much more. The next trial will begin to reveal the truth, if you are prepared to face it. Before Alex could respond, the chamber began to transform again. The crystalline walls melted away, replaced by what appeared to be a vast library. But instead of books, the shelves held swirling orbs of energy that pulsed with information. The trial of forbidden knowledge awaits, the Nixian announced. Here, you will learn why the confluence exists, and why some species choose to fail our trials rather than bear the burden of this truth. Alex looked at their team. Alina's eyes were wide with scientific wonder, while Matthews maintained his professional composure despite the impossible situations they faced. They had survived physical transcendence, but Alex suspected that what came next would test them in ways far more challenging than mere violations of physics. Whatever the truth is, they said firmly, humanity is ready to face it. The lead Nixian's form flickered with what might have been amusement. We shall see, Commander Foster. We shall see. The orbs of energy began to pulse more rapidly, and Alex could feel knowledge pressing against their consciousness, waiting to be absorbed. They took a deep breath, preparing themselves for revelations that would change humanity's understanding of the universe forever. The forbidden knowledge. The orbs of energy surrounding them pulsed with an almost musical rhythm, each one containing what Alex suspected were entire libraries of knowledge. The air itself seemed charged with information, making their skin prickle with awareness. Dr. Rodriguez had her scanner out, though its readings were meaningless in this impossible space. The trial of forbidden knowledge. The lead Nixian began, its form now a deep violet, is not about your capacity to learn. It is about your capacity to accept, to understand, to bear the weight of truth that has driven other species to voluntary extinction. Alex felt their mouth go dry. Voluntary extinction. Some truths change everything. The Nixian's voice resonated in their minds. Some knowledge cannot be unknown once learned. Are you certain humanity is ready? Alex looked at their team. Alina nodded eagerly, her scientist's curiosity overwhelming any fear. Matthews remained stoic, but his hand had moved away from his weapon, a sign he was beginning to trust their hosts, if only slightly. We're ready, Alex declared. The nearest orb descended, stopping at eye level. Within its swirling depths, images began to form. Alex reached out instinctively, and their fingers passed through the surface. Knowledge flooded their mind. They saw the universe as it truly was, not the empty void humans imagined, but a living tapestry of interconnected consciousness. Every star, every planet, every particle was aware in some way. And in the spaces between, in dimensions humanity couldn't perceive, other things lurked. The harvesters, the Nixian explained as the vision continued. We call them that because it is the closest your language can come to describing their true nature. They feed on consciousness itself. The vision shifted, showing vast, dark shapes moving between the stars, their very presence dimming the light of consciousness wherever they passed. Alex watched in horror as entire civilizations winked out, their collective awareness consumed. They're YU test species, Alina whispered, her own mind connected to a different orb. You're building an army. A resistance, the Nixian corrected. The confluence exists because no single species can stand against them. But together, with shared knowledge and technology, we have managed to hold them at bay in this galaxy. Barely. Another orb descended, showing Alex the true history of the Nixians. They had once been much like humans, bound by physical laws and limited understanding. But necessity had forced them to evolve, to transcend their original form. The price had been steep. Their homeworld was now a quantum anomaly, existing in multiple states simultaneously, uninhabitable to their original form. Your species has potential we haven't seen in millennia, the Nixian continued. Your adaptability, your creativity in the face of impossible situations. These trials aren't just tests, they're preparation. The changes you've experienced here are permanent. You've begun the process of transcendence. Matthews, who had been silent until now, stepped forward. So Earth is in danger from these harvesters. Earth is already under observation by them. Your species' rapid technological advancement has drawn their attention. Without the confluence's protection, humanity would not survive another century. Alex felt the weight of this knowledge settling into their bones. Everything humanity thought they knew about their place in the universe was wrong. They weren't alone in the cosmos. They were part of a desperate battle for survival they hadn't even known was being fought. There's more, the Nixian said, its form shifting to a deep crimson. The harvesters are not our only concern. Show them. A larger orb descended, and this time the knowledge it contained made Alex stagger. They saw great machines at the edge of the galaxy, constructed by long-vanished species. These machines were designed to do something impossible, to move the entire galaxy through space, to escape something even the harvesters feared. We call it the Void. The Nixian's voice was barely a whisper now. It consumes not just consciousness, but reality itself. It has already devoured 12 galaxies in the local cluster. The machines are our last resort, but they require the combined consciousness of all sentient species to operate. Alina had gone pale. That's why some species choose extinction. The responsibility is enormous, the Nixian finished. To join the confluence is to accept this burden, to know that every decision, every advancement, must serve the greater purpose of survival. Not just for one species, but for all life in the galaxy. Alex's mind reeled with implications. Humanity had dreamed of reaching the stars, of joining a galactic community. But they had imagined trade, cultural exchange, peaceful cooperation, not an endless war against cosmic horrors. Why us? They asked finally. Why now? The Nixian's form brightened slightly. Because of what you did in the previous trials. Most species take years to grasp quantum manipulation. You did it in hours. Your minds are uniquely suited to understanding and adapting to new paradigms. And the Nixian paused, its form flickering through several colors rapidly. We have detected movement in the void. It's accelerating. We estimate less than 50 of your years before it reaches our galaxy. We need humanity's potential. We need your species' remarkable ability to face impossible odds and find solutions where none seem to exist. Alex looked at their team, seeing their own shock and determination reflected in their faces. Then they looked back at the orbs of knowledge surrounding them, each containing truths that would forever change how humanity saw itself and its place in the universe. What's the next trial? Alex asked, straightening their shoulders. The Nixian's form shifted to a color Alex couldn't quite process. Are you certain you wish to continue? Now that you know the truth, You could choose to fail. We would ensure humanity remains ignorant of what you've learned here. That's not who we are, Alex said firmly. Humanity doesn't hide from challenges. We face them. If we can help protect the galaxy, if we can make a difference in this fight, then we have a responsibility to try. The library began to fade, the orbs of knowledge merging into the walls. A new chamber began to form around them, this one filled with what appeared to be mirrors, each showing the different reality. Then prepare yourself, Commander Foster, the Nixian announced. The trial of parallel paths will show you every possible future for humanity, and force you to choose which one becomes reality. The mirrors began to spin, and Alex caught glimpses of Earth in various states: triumphant, destroyed, transformed, transcendent. They squared their shoulders, ready to face whatever came next. The fate of not just humanity, but all conscious life in the galaxy, now rested on their choices. Revolution of the stars. The spinning mirrors finally settled, each one showing a different version of Earth's future. Alex stood in the center of the chamber, their minds struggling to process the countless possibilities before them. In one mirror, Earth had become a quantum-shifted world like the Nixian homeworld. In another, humanity had spread across the galaxy in ships that bent reality itself. But there were darker futures too. Worlds consumed by the harvesters, planets reduced to lifeless husks by the approaching void. Choose, the lead Nixian commanded. Each path represents a possible future for your species. The one you select will become reality. But Alex noticed something none of the mirrors showed: a future where humanity found its own way. What if I reject all of these? A ripple of disturbance passed through the watching Nixians. Their forms flickered rapidly, communicating in ways the humans couldn't understand. The lead Nixian's color shifted to a deep, warning red. That is not an option. The trial requires a choice from the paths shown. Why? Alex pressed, their mind racing. Because that's how it's always been done. Because that's what the trial demands. You said humanity has potential you haven't seen in millennia. Maybe that potential includes finding new solutions. Elena stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overriding protocol. Commander's right. These mirrors show futures based on known parameters, but humanity's strength lies in breaking parameters, in finding new ways. A new voice rang out, different from the lead Nixians. Another of their kind floated down from the observation platforms, its form a brilliant gold that hurt to look at. The human speaks wisdom, the new Nixian declared. I am Erix, and I have watched species face these trials for 10,000 of your years. Never has one questioned the fundamental nature of the trials themselves. The lead Nixian's form pulsed with what seemed like anger. The trials are sacred. They have protected the confluence and prepared species for the greater war since before our civilization achieved transcendence. And in all that time, Oryx countered, have we truly progressed in our fight against the harvesters? Has our rigid adherence to ancient protocols brought us closer to stopping the void? Perhaps it is time for new perspectives. The chamber erupted into chaos as more Nixians descended, their forms splitting into factions. Some glowed with Oryx's golden light, while others darkened to match the lead Nixian's crimson warning. The air crackled with quantum possibilities as the ancient species argued. Matthews moved closer to Alex, his tactical mind assessing the situation. Commander, I think we just started a civil war among godlike aliens. Not a war, Alex corrected, watching the debate unfold. A revolution. They've been following the same patterns for so long they forgot to question whether those patterns were still serving their purpose. Erix floated closer to the humans, its golden light softening. For millennia, we have tested species by forcing them to conform to our understanding of reality. But perhaps we should have been learning from them instead. The lead Nixian's form stabilized into a rigid geometric pattern, a sign of absolute authority among their kind. This is heresy. The trials exist for a reason. Without proper preparation, species cannot survive the knowledge of what truly exists in the cosmos. Look at them. Oryx gestured toward the humans. They faced every truth we've shown them with adaptation and innovation rather than fear. They seek to understand the harvesters rather than simply fight them. They question the void itself rather than simply accepting its inevitability. Alex stepped forward, their voice steady despite the tension crackling through the chamber. You've been fighting a defensive war for thousands of years, protecting territory, preserving knowledge, preparing for an evacuation you're not even sure will work. But humanity's history is full of examples of seemingly unwinnable wars that were won through innovation and unconventional thinking. Elena joined in, her scientific mind racing with possibilities. The quantum manipulation techniques we learned, we could apply them differently. Instead of using them to escape the harvesters, we could use them to understand them. You call them consciousness eaters, but what if there's something else entirely? What if communication is possible? Blasphemy. The lead Nixian roared, its form splitting into fractal patterns of rage. The trials are absolute. They cannot be changed. Everything can be changed, Alex countered. That's what evolution is. Change and adaptation. You evolve beyond your original forms out of necessity. Maybe it's time for the confluence itself to evolve. The chamber trembled as more Nixians took sides. Those supporting Eryx began to shift their forms into new patterns, breaking away from the rigid geometric structures of tradition. The others maintained their strict forms, but Alex could sense uncertainty rippling through their ranks. The human speaks truth, Oryx declared. We have become as fixed and unchanging as the trials themselves. We test species for adaptability while refusing to adapt ourselves. This must end. The lead Nixian's form pulsed with energy. Then you leave us no choice. The humans have corrupted the sacred trials. They must be eliminated and Earth quarantined until a more suitable species can be found. No. Eryx's voice carried such power that the mirrors themselves vibrated. The time of blind adherence to ancient ways is over. The void approaches, the harvesters grow stronger, and we waste time forcing new species to follow paths that have failed for millennia. The chamber began to shift and warp as the two factions of Nixians faced each other. Reality itself seemed to bend around them as beings who had transcended physical form prepared for conflict. Commander, Matthews warned, whatever's about to happen, I don't think we want to be in the middle of it. But Alex stood their ground. We're already in the middle of it. This isn't just about us anymore. It's about the survival of all conscious life in the galaxy. We have to see it through. Eryx's golden light enveloped the humans protectively as the chamber descended into chaos. The very fabric of space-time began to tear as the Nixian civil war erupted. The future of not just humanity, but the entire confluence, now balanced on a knife's edge of change. And somewhere in the darkness between galaxies, ancient machines hummed their countdown to evacuation, while in the void beyond, something vast and hungry continued its inexorable approach. The time for traditional solutions was over. The revolution of the stars had begun. Legacy of two worlds. Reality fractured around them as the Nixian civil war erupted. The chamber became a battlefield of impossible physics, with traditional and revolutionary factions wielding forces that defied comprehension. Alex, Elena, and Matthews found themselves protected within Oryx's golden field of energy as space itself bent and warped around them. We must reach the core. Eryx's voice resonated in their minds. The heart of this station holds the key to everything. The original purpose of the trials, the true nature of the harvesters, and perhaps even the secret to stopping the void itself. The core is forbidden. The lead Nixian's voice boomed as its crimson form split into dozens of attack patterns. No species may enter until they have completed all trials. Alex watched as quantum lightning arced between the warring factions, creating temporary holes in reality. The trials were meant to prepare species to face universal threats, right? Then let us prove ourselves by facing them now. Eryx's protective field pulsed in agreement. Follow my guidance. The path to the core will be dangerous, but together we may find answers that have eluded us for millennia. They began moving through the chaos of battle, with Oryx teaching them to navigate the quantum turbulence on the fly. Alex found they could now perceive multiple dimensions at once, seeing the flowing patterns of probability that made up reality itself. Alina's scientific mind was adapting even faster, already theorizing new applications for what they were learning. The station's architecture, she called out as they passed through a corridor that existed in several places simultaneously. It's not just advanced technology. It's alive somehow. Yes, Oryx confirmed. The station was grown, not built. It is a living quantum computer, designed to process the combined consciousness of all species in the confluence. But its original purpose was lost to time and dogma. They reached what appeared to be a dead end. But Alex could now see the quantum frequencies that made up the wall. With a thought, they shifted their group's resonance to match a gap in the pattern, allowing them to pass through. Remarkable, Oryx observed. You're not just learning our techniques, you're improving them. The pursuing traditionalists were gaining ground, their attacks becoming more desperate. The lead Nixian's voice echoed through dimensions. You cannot change what has been established for eons. The trials protect us all. The trials trap us, Oryx countered, deflecting a reality-warping blast. We've become so focused on following ancient patterns that we've forgotten how to grow. They finally reached the core, a vast spherical chamber that seemed to contain an entire universe in miniature. Stars and galaxies swirled within its bounds, each one a processing node in the station's living network. By all that exists, Alina breathed, her scanner forgotten in her hand. It's beautiful. But they weren't alone. The lead Nixian and its followers materialized around them, their forms rigid with ancient authority. You have gone too far. The core's secrets are not meant for. The leader's voice cut off as something unprecedented happened. The core itself reacted to their presence. The miniature universe within began to pulse with new light, and information flooded into all their minds. Alex saw the truth. The station hadn't been built to test species or prepare them for war. It was created as a bridge, a means of communication with the very forces the confluence had been fighting for millennia. The harvesters. Alex gasped as understanding dawned. They're not eating consciousness. They're trying to preserve it. The void destroys everything it touches, so they collect consciousness to save it. Alina's eyes widened. And the quantum evolution we've been going through in the trials, it's not about fighting at all. It's about becoming compatible with their method of preservation. The lead Nixian's form flickered uncertainly. But our archives say. Your archives are interpretations, Oryx interrupted, written by those who experienced first contact with the harvesters and misunderstood their actions. We've been fighting potential allies for thousands of years. The core pulsed again, and this time the message was clear to all. Images formed in the miniature universe, showing the truth about the void. Not just a force of destruction, but a natural process of universal renewal. The harvesters had evolved to shepherd consciousness through these cycles of cosmic death and rebirth. The ancient machines, Matthews said, his tactical mind making connections, they weren't meant to move the galaxy away from the void. They were meant to help us transcend with the harvesters, Alex finished, to preserve all conscious life until the void passes and a new universe can begin. The lead Nixian's form slowly shifted, its rigid pattern softening. All this time, we've been following a path based on fear and misunderstanding. And now we can choose a new path, Oryx said, not through confrontation, but through cooperation and evolution. Humanity has shown us that questioning traditional wisdom isn't heresy. It's essential for growth. The core's light enveloped them all, and Alex felt their consciousness expand to touch others. The entire confluence, the approaching harvesters, even faint echoes from beyond the void itself. In that moment of connection, they understood that this was humanity's true trial and triumph, not proving their worth through combat or conformity, but by bringing a fresh perspective to an ancient problem. "So," Alex said, their voice steady despite the weight of revelation, "what happens now?" Eric's golden form brightened. "Now we evolve. Not just humanity, not just the Nixians, but all conscious life in this galaxy. Together we'll prepare for the Void's approach, not in fear, but in anticipation of transformation. The trials will change, becoming a means of preparing species for transcendence rather than conflict." The lead Nixian moved forward, its form now a mixture of traditional patterns and new possibilities, and humanity will help guide this evolution. Your species' ability to adapt, to question, to find new solutions. These are the qualities the confluence truly needed. The core's light began to fade, but the connection it had forged remained. Alex could feel the change rippling through the station, through the confluence, and across the galaxy itself. The age of isolation and fear was ending. A new era of cooperation and conscious evolution was beginning. "We should contact Earth," Elena said, her voice full of wonder. "They'll need to know what's coming, what we're all becoming." Alex nodded, feeling the quantum changes that had transformed them humming through their being. Humanity had dreamed of reaching the stars, of joining a galactic community. Instead, they had helped reshape that community, breaking down barriers built on millennia of misunderstanding. The station around them began to shift, its living architecture responding to the new paradigm. The rigid structures of the trials were dissolving, being reborn as spaces of learning and transformation. And somewhere in the darkness between galaxies, the harvesters turned their great bulk toward them, not in hunger but in recognition. The revolution they had sparked would reshape not just the galaxy, but the very nature of consciousness itself. And it had all started with a simple human trait: the willingness to question, to challenge, and to change. "Commander," Matthews said, a rare smile crossing his face, "I think we just rewrote the book on first contact." "No," Alex replied, watching as the combined consciousness of countless species began to flow through the station's quantum network, preparing for the greatest journey in the history of life itself. "We just started writing a whole new book together." The core pulsed one final time, its light carrying not a message but a promise of transformation, of evolution, and of a future where the boundaries between species dissolved in the face of universal consciousness. Humanity's first steps into the galactic community hadn't just changed Earth's destiny. They had changed the destiny of all conscious life in the cosmos. And somewhere, in the infinite depth of space, the Void continued its approach. But now, instead of bringing fear, it brought anticipation. The end was no longer an ending. It was merely a transformation, a doorway to the next great adventure in the endless dance of consciousness and cosmos.